The problem with people who think and believe like Esther on the Under the Influence podcast is that they don't think that people care enough about Black women to call them out when they say things that are discriminatory and problematic.
Okay, so I want Black women to be clear. That apology wasn't for you at all. That apology was for major white corporations that weren't going to mess with them after the backlash of this. That apology was for the self-proclaimed social justice warriors that are their base that would feel weird about continuing to watch them after what they said. Never was that for Black women. An apology that says we just need to watch what we say because of the level that we're at now, they're not sorry. They're sorry that they got caught. They're sorry that people care enough about them. Not me, but they're sorry that enough people care about them that this even became a thing.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren and I'm Maureen. So about 2 days ago, we did an episode where Asian American podcasters went viral, and it wasn't particularly for the right reasons. Right, a female from the podcast decided to talk about Black women genitalia, and let's just say she ended up offending the whole entire race. Yeah, so in today's episode, she has ended up apologizing, but it is the way she said her apology that has got Black people and Asian community both having mixed feelings. Some of them citing reasons as to why is that she is just chasing the bag and she doesn't really mean this apology. Right, they don't feel like she was being sincere. But guys, we want to play you what she said about the Black community. We also want to play you a video of her apology, then be the judge of whether or not you think that she is truly sorry. Let's watch and then we come back.
Yeah, I want to take this moment to sincerely apologize for a topic that I brought up.
Yeah, you guys, okay, I'm gonna say something kind of wild, but it's because I saw it somewhere, but I don't know if we might have to cut it out. But anyways, someone said that the reason why some girls' vagina is tighter than others is because... Huh? No. It has nothing to do with that. They said that it's because, like, ethnicity-wise, like Black men have, are known to have larger dicks, so therefore the women have
that makes sense.
Bigger holes.
It wasn't my view or opinion, but I understand that even bringing it up was super inappropriate and harmful. And I've heard so many of you guys, especially in the Black community and among Black women, and like, I'm just sorry for perpetuating a harmful stereotype, and moving forward I will no longer bring up any topics that could be harmful to anybody. I mean, we're all Asian and we've dealt with like pretty hateful like stereotypes as well, and I should have known better because I've been hurt by those too, so I truly apologize for that. And it wasn't my intention to hurt anyone, but I understand that intentions don't matter when the impact was so hurtful, and I'm learning and I'm growing from this, and yeah, I don't know what to say other than that. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point here, is that obviously, like she said, we're all human. We are all human. Like, everyone makes mistakes. I can't take back any of the things I've said. None of us can. But what we can do is try to make the changes going forward. If you want to hate us regardless, that's your freedom to do so. But I think that the people who support us have been waiting for us to own up and take accountability for maybe some of the things that have hurt them as well. And that's what we're going to do our best to do.
She thought that joke was appropriate because she didn't think anybody would care about us, because people are allowed to slander us and to talk about our body parts as if we are less than human. As a matter of fact, she thought that because no one cares about Black women globally, her joke would have been deemed as funny to the majority of the people who consume their content, including Black men. In that apology video, one of the things that was stated was, we have too many people that watch us. We should be more cautious about what we say. You didn't know that? You ain't know that? You ain't know that? The problem problem is not that you should be more cautious. The problem is, oh, we've even expanded into people who would care about certain things like that. Oh, we're not just talking to the type of people that are okay with bigotry. My bad. Our videos have gone to a place where people might actually care about these things. It wasn't that you said it at all. It was you underestimated your reach. You thought everybody who was following you and monitoring your content thought just like you. You were banking on misogyny and hypermasculinity to back you up. I don't care that she made a joke that also harmed her own racial group. The problem is that we were the brunt of that joke. You wanted it to be known that there was something problematic about us. You knew they would forgive you, and you also were banking on the fact that you're a part of that racial group so people wouldn't call you out on it. The joke was meant specifically to harm black women, and that is why there is no way, no reason, and no probable cause for us to accept your whack apology. Y'all just want to be able to go back to business as usual. And honestly, I'm inclined to allow you. Why? Because the fact of the matter is, platforms like this exist for a very specific target demographic. Y'all don't care to do better. You just want to keep getting your checks, your views, and your laughs.
There's a few things I wanted to point out in this video. Number one, she didn't address where she got that source from. So if she didn't have a source of where she found that stereotypical information, then it only leads to believe that she made it up. Number two, in the podcast where you said these things about black women, you knew that it was harmful because you said we may have to cut this out. So you were already conscious enough to know that this could have been harmful, and you still said it anyway. Number three, even though black women definitely got the most heat out of this, you also offended Asian men and Asian women with your harmful stereotype. Are we just going to forget that she also said that Asian men had small peepees and Asian women had tight lalas? If I'm not mistaken, that's a very negative stereotype towards Asian men and a very fetishizing of a comment towards Asian women. That's number four. She didn't even bother apologizing to her own community. One of the guys said in the video that we are human, we all make mistakes, and that's very true because I can definitely vouch for this. I made many mistakes. A lot of it was because of my own self-hatred and my own ignorance. The best way you can grow from this is to lay it all out on the table like a full flush of cards. Despite this apology, Esther, there's a lot of things you did not mention. And there's questions that still remain unanswered. And you're right, Esther, you should have known better. Which is wild because you are not a white woman, Esther. You are an Asian woman. Asian women and black women go hand in hand when it comes to negative stereotypes and fetishization and hypersexualization. Black and Asian men also fit in this category.
Something just doesn't sit right with me with that under the influence apology that just came out. I've said this before and I'll say it again, which is that we're coming into this time period where there is a lot more Asian representation, especially way more than there was when I was growing up in my teenage years, in my 20s. But that being said, we don't have to support every Asian. That not all Asian representation is good. And not all people should be representing us. And this podcast is one of them. They've essentially showed us who they are with this podcast. And while I do believe that people can change for the better and apologize and move forward, I didn't feel anything from that apology. I think this is a really important time for all of us to reflect as there are more Asian Americans coming out on different platforms and doing different things, that we have the ability to choose who we want to support and give our time and energy to. And not everyone deserves to have the support. I don't know if anyone else picked up on this, but what they said was they're no longer going to be talking about those topics on their platform because there's more eyes on them. They have a wider platform now. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to be saying these things behind closed doors. That doesn't mean that they don't still believe in these things when they're talking amongst each other or their friends or whoever's in their circle, which I think is like the biggest problem here, is that they still will have those conversations and they don't see that it's wrong. Like they said this part so loudly that they talk about topics that they think are entertaining and funny. And the things that they find entertaining, funny are sexist and racist. Like that's crazy to me. And I know that they wrote their own apology because that wasn't good. There's a lot of good that comes out of digital culture and all that has been happening in the last 4 years, but not everyone deserves to have a platform. Not everyone needs to open up their mouth to the world.
Esther's apology in that Under the Influence podcast, do you believe her or not? Personally, to me, she does sound very genuine. Even her tone of voice, possibly. And then she did relate it back to her experience as an Asian person, parallels that Asian people have with other people of color. I guess it really only matters to those that she offended. So if the people that she offended accept her apology, then there you have it. My thing is, if they are producing their own show, that means they have control over what content they are recording and then what content to push out. I feel like they set her up. Not only did they set her up, I feel like they were trying to get a viral moment out of this, and they got exactly that. But is it worth it for them? You know what I'm saying? I mean, cancel culture is still a real thing. I do see people that should have been canceled and are still going strong. So maybe viral is viral.
Okay, y'all, let's all watch this apology made by Esther from the Under the Influence podcast.
Yeah, I want to take this moment to sincerely apologize for a topic that I brought up. It wasn't my view or opinion, but I understand that even bringing it up was super inappropriate and harmful.
Pause. So it wasn't her view or her opinion, but she brought it up just because and started giggling with it. Okay.
Up was super inappropriate and harmful, and I've heard so many of you guys, especially in the Black community and among Black women, and like, I'm just sorry for perpetuating a harmful
rather than a harmful stereotype, it is a blatant display of racism. Like, what's not clicking? Like,
I mean, we're all Asian, and we've dealt with like pretty hateful like stereotypes as well, and I should have known better because I've been hurt by those too, you know?
I get what you're saying, but right now you're basically victimizing yourself and being like, I know too, because I'm Asian. And it's true. Of course, Asians have gone through racism, stereotyping. Like, it's very true, but like, is now the time? I feel like you're more concerned about the money that's potentially, you know, drifting away rather than the sincerity of this apology.
Yeah, I don't know what to say other than that. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point here is that, like she said, we're all human.
Yes, of course. We are all humans, but we are not all racist.
I'm not going to spend too much time on this Esther Under the Influence podcast. I want people to understand something about Black people, okay? The moment you really got one time with us, all right? If we are a fan of your stuff, and this particular message is for non-people of color and people of color too, but specifically non-people of color. You got one time, okay, to play with us, all right? There's not much you can say to us after that situation. When you're being racist or you're being anti-Black in any shape or form, okay? You can pretty much put that, you're not apologizing to us, you're apologizing to your fandom that might be non-people of color.
I don't know, I will always be biased when it comes to apologies coming from influencers or people who have platforms, because I feel like 100% of the time when it comes to apologies, it's always going to be coming off as insincere, not really knowing like what they're apologizing for, and on top of that, it just kind of feels like I end up hating the person 100% again. On top of not mentioning about the whole Drew situation at all, but very dismissing about like the entire situation about the racist comment in general is very weird, because I just wish like when it comes to apologies, they would reiterate and like restate like what they said, and then maybe mention a few things from other creators that like of calling them out basically of why they said was inappropriate, and like they would learn, you know, and educate others, as that's the whole point of a learning process, right? And these apologies just come off so insincere, especially because she's dismissing this issue by bringing up the fact that she's also a person of color. But it's just weird. It's not an excuse. And on top of that, this is why intersectionality is so important, because although, like, yes, East Asians also go through some fetishizations and emasculations, it's very different from the experiences of Black people. And I will always stand by this, that in no way, shape, or form are death threats ever appropriate, and she did not deserve any of that. But that entire thing should not be used as an excuse to victimize yourself in this situation when you've hurt so many other people. And just because you state that you're a person of color doesn't mean that you're not racist. Like, people of color can be racist as well. And this is why we should take it upon ourselves to, you know, be the better person, the bigger person, and educate the people in our communities why these prejudice and stereotypes and racism is not okay. And let's normalize calling out anti-Blackness in Asian communities.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about that episode. Also let us know, do you think that her apology was coming from a genuine place? Because I feel like we don't even need to talk much about this issue. I feel like it's self-explanatory. Yeah, especially when she mentioned it in her apology, she just meant to be funny when she was talking about that. But you know, my thing is, or rather my question is, yeah, of all the comical jokes you could have made, you decided to choose a black woman's genitalias and make fun of the black woman's genitalias, and along with it accidentally drag your people into it and offend your men too while doing this. And then I feel like because it was an apology, she could have just come out, you know, that self-accountability, say what she said and apologize for it and mention why she was wrong about it. But no, she decided to come and she was still trying to defend her utterance. She was still trying to defend it, and she was still trying to tell people where these words were coming from. And the fact that she felt like she needed to mention in her apology that she's Asian and she comes from Asian communities where they also suffer from this harmful stereotypical whatevers, and she decided to put that in an apology as if to show, it's like she was trying to play victim in this whole situation and say that is the reason why she decided to say what she said. Yeah. And then another thing I also took note of is when one of the guys in the podcast said that they were sorry they won't be bringing such topics up anymore. People still didn't take lightly to these utterances because to them it feels like they'll still be saying this kind of ignorant comments, but behind the camera and when the cameras are closed. Right. So guys, let us know what you think about this episode. I don't really feel like there's much to be said. It is what it is, you know. Yeah, so let's catch you on our next episode. Consider subscribing if it's your first time here. Also, you can share the video with whomever you think it's gonna help. Let's catch you on our next.